Hey guys, what's up? So today I'm going to check out two mid-priced 7-string guitars that you should check out. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so I have two fantastic guitars here. Both are kind of middle of the road in terms of price. They both hover around that $1,000 range. I've noticed that things that were once like $1,000 are now starting to creep up into like the $1,500 range. Both these guitars are accessible and relatively moderately priced for the feature sets that you get when you buy them. So here I have the Ibanez RGIXL7 available at most retailers. Most notably, I got this one from zZounds. Additionally, I got this one from zZounds, which is the PRS Mark Holcomb Signature series. And I think you saw me do the unboxing of this a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to go through kind of the pros and cons of both of these guitars, why you should, consider one over the other, or if you're really kind of hung up on certain aspects of what guitars have and what you need out of them. I'm going to try to break down what I think, is better on one versus the other when it comes to spending your money. So I will have some sound clips kind of mixed in to my review here. I'm not really comparing the sound of these two guitars because they both have different pickups, different electronics. They're going to sound slightly different, and even with, crushing high gain, the differences will be subtle, and I can tell you a little bit about the feel and kind of the response of each of the pickup types that come with these guitars as I go through what I think. Okay, so first up, let's just talk about the general construction of these guitars. This guitar is made out of mahogany with a maple cap and a flame maple veneer. This one is got the Niato body wood. I think I'm saying that right. And they both have actually maple necks. Now this one is obviously painted and it's satinized, so that's really nice. I dig the fact that they went with a gloss finish and then a satin neck finish. This also has a 3-piece maple neck. So in terms of overall, materials, they're not super far off. I might give the edge a little bit to the mahogany, more of a traditional thing, a little warmer, in terms of what people say about tone woods. The Niato, though, feels fine. We got a super strat. We got kind of this, PRS proprietary offset strat thing going on. Both necks feel great to me. The neck on the Ibanez, slightly thinner. It's got that wizard like U neck thing going on. This, I believe, is just like a thin C shape. They both feel really good. They're both thin enough to do most things. In terms of construction features, this features a 16-inch radius fretboard, whereas this features a 20-inch radius fretboard. Now, for some of the novice kind of 7-stringers out there, there's a noticeable feel difference with a 20-inch fretboard. It is super flat. It is, dare I say, a little bit difficult to play on for the first, couple days where you get used to, how flat it really is. And really it comes through in kind of some of the chord shapes that you might be used to playing if you have really wide, spread chord shapes, if you have a lot of lead playing. For lead playing, it's actually kind of nice. I find the 16-inch radius neck to be slightly more comfortable, slightly more standard. So if you're considering, the ultimate feel of the guitar, the 16-inch neck is going to be a little bit easier for you to handle probably. Now with that said, they both feel fine. I don't think I would give the edge to either one of these when it comes to construction. Bolt-on neck, set-in neck. If you are more of a traditional player who likes kind of like the Gibsons or some of the other PRS stuff, you're probably going to be better off with the PRS because it's a set-in neck. If you're used to playing things like Jacksons, Ibanez's already, if you're used to playing, any version of Fender even, the bolt-on neck's going to be more familiar to you. I will say they both are well done for what they are. No issues. For $1,000, you would expect no less than to have a well-designed bolt-on or a well-designed set-in neck. Now, if you're like a super aesthetic person, if you are really into the looks of the guitar, now a flat black guitar is cool. I have a lot of them. I really dig them. They do show some shiny wear over time. In fact, you could probably catch that in the light right there. That's where my hands tend to rest while I'm playing. It will shine up over time. You'll get those glossy spots. The finish on the Mark Holcomb is just undeniably nice with the quilted maple veneer. If you're going to take it all together in terms of construction, the constructability, how these are built, what they look like, the finish, you might give the edge to the Holcomb. It just is a more classy looking guitar. It's a more interesting looking guitar. Not necessarily the most metal looking guitar. If you're really into the black metal stuff, this is probably where you're going to go with it. Either way, I like them both. I might give the edge slightly aesthetically for my personal preferences to the Mark Holcomb, but that's really a narrow margin of victory. Okay, so let's get into kind of the more detail-oriented stuff, and let's start with the hardware, because this is where the divergences really start to happen. So starting with the Holcomb. The Holcomb has a hip shot style-esque bridge going on here. It's obviously a PRS branded bridge. It's their proprietary, hardtail bridge. I'm a big hardtail fan. I don't do a lot of trem stuff. This is a decent bridge. It's not quite as good as a hip shot. It's a little bit rough around the edges when compared to something like an aftermarket hip shot. No buzzing issues, intonated pretty well, pretty good. Kind of a cool, what would you call this, like a black chrome or a black nickel finish. Really cool. Interesting that they went with just straight up black knobs for the knob hardware. Standard. Three-way switch. We'll get into that with the electronics. The other thing is they come stock with the standard SE tuners. Now, I've owned a couple PRS SEs, and I've played a handful of PRS SEs. The standard stock tuners that come on these guitars are kind of on the low end of good for stock tuners. The ones that came on this that were from the factory, a little bit rough in terms of the machining, a little bit inconsistent with some of the play on the, on the posts. And if you don't know already, I went ahead and replaced them. I put in some Goto locking tuners. Goto's like one of the best brands, and I put these in because the overall weak link on this guitar is in fact the hardware, and it is the tuners mostly. For a guitar that's like in $1,000, price range, I think locking tuners should kind of be a standard thing. Now, I've said this before in other videos, and I've made the comment elsewhere on social media. PRS, when it comes to the SE lines, there's a little bit of nickel and diming going on. They sell all of their locking stuff aftermarket for the SEs. It's a gripe, but it is what it is. When it comes to this particular guitar, the hardware's just okay. So moving on to the Ibanez, the hardware is a bit of a leap and bound beyond the PRS. And why is that? Well, because it comes stock already with Goto locking tuners. These come on the guitar when you buy it. The other thing is the Gibraltar style bridge that they put on here. A lot of people think they're kind of bulky, over-engineered looking. It's still one of the most stable and easy to work on hardtail bridges that I've ever come across. Additionally, there's this black knob similar to the PRS. Nothing special there, but in terms of the bridge and the tuning hardware, the Ibanez takes it hands down. All right, so next let's look at the electronics on both of these guitars. Now, this one's a little unfair because I can already tell you that half of the reason why I bought this guitar is for the pickups. And when I bought this guitar, I wasn't really concerned about the pickups so much as I just liked the design. Now, I think you can see on this one, I've replaced the bridge pickup, and I'll get to the reason why that is in a minute. But the Mark Holcomb comes with the signature Mark Holcomb pickups that Seymour Duncan makes, the new Scarlet and Scourge 7-string set. And if you saw my unboxing video, you'll know that I already really like these. And they're a unique kind of lower output design, kind of in the 14 kilo ohm range of resistance. There is a coil tap function on this particular guitar. There's a volume and a tone pot, 3-way switch. I would say that one of the biggest appeals of this guitar is the pickups, and that's why a lot of people really kind of go for it. Now, if I move over to the Ibanez, what it came with are the DiMarzio Fusion Edge pickups. Now, these pickups have kind of a mixed reputation. Some people like them, some people don't. I definitely didn't hate them when I got them. I thought they were pretty good, but that didn't stop me from going ahead and putting a DiMarzio Titan 7 in the bridge because I really wanted to try out the DiMarzio Titan. It's the Jake Bowen Signature. To be fair, we're looking at two guitars that kind of are spec'd out for the periphery kind of style, genty stuff. Mark Holcomb, Jake Bowen. Both pickup sets, or both pickup types, are really good. This matches really well tonally with the Fusion Edge neck. It's got a cool, you know, kind of flat silver thing going on. I kind of would like to match it in the neck, but whatever, because when you get this guitar, it comes in all flat black bridge, black neck. That's really similar to what's going on in the Holcomb with those particular covers on those pickups. This guitar also has a coil split, but it's a mini toggle instead of a push-pull. I think that's kind of cool. This guitar doesn't have a tone pot. It only has a volume. Single volume, 3-way switch, and a mini toggle for coil splitting. So if I were being honest, if I were to compare the stock configurations on both these guitars as they come, I'm going to give the edge to the Mark Holcomb because these pickups are kind of the appeal of the guitar. The Fusion Edge set is fine, it's cool, it actually sounds pretty good, and you might dig it. It's worth having. I definitely think the single volume knob configuration on here is more my style, but as an all-around consumer, I'm digging the Mark Holcomb Scarlet Scourge. These kind of have my vote in terms of what you get electronically. Where these two kind of don't have any kind of differences is they both come with the nickel steel frets. We're not looking at stainless steel on either one of these guitars. That's unfortunate because $1,000 price range, I think stainless steel could be a doable option. There are plenty of examples from Schecter where they use stainless steel frets on $1,000 guitars. Similarly, both have plastic nuts. Neither one of them come with a Graphtec or a bone nut. Again, a little bit of a cheap thing to kind of throw onto a guitar that costs $1,000, but at the same time, they're both cut really well. A little bit of graphite in the nut slot and you'll be fine. You know, if you're concerned about binding, they're both perfectly serviceable, but again, $1,000, you would expect a little bit better. Obviously, when it comes to like the aesthetics of the binding around the neck, you know, this is minimalist. This is no inlays, no binding. I think it's a cool look. I actually kind of dug it for that reason. But, you know, PRS, traditional bird inlays with this this binding around the whole neck. Looks classy, looks cool. I don't give the edge to either one of these because they're both different strokes for different folks. I don't think there's any advantage to one over the other. Additionally, for the people out there that want to tune super, super low, you know, I gotta say, this has a 1/2 inch longer scale. This is a 27. This is a 26.5. When it comes down to tuning stability, as you get towards like the F sharp, E1 kind of range, this is going to do a little bit better with a slightly lighter gauge string. I think this one could get there. I comfortably have this, you know, set to drop C sharp with a low G sharp on the 7th string, and this is comfortably set to drop B with the low F sharp on the 7th string. I think those are kind of optimal tunings. I think this one does well with like drop G. You could definitely go drop F sharp like this one. I think this one, if you wanted to go drop E, you could do it. This one, you might struggle a little bit. So if you're trying to go for like the really heavy, low stuff, you're gonna end up probably doing better with this one. But, you know, when it comes down to like E1, 8 strings and baritones do exist. I do like the 27-inch scale length, just a tiny bit better than the 26.5, but really that's a matter of preference. I think both guitars are exemplary, you know, just examples of what a 7-string in the $1,000 price range should be. To me, $1,000 is kind of the average of what you should spend on a guitar that you think should be good. And both of these guitars are definitely worth the money that you pay. If I had to give my final verdict on which one would I go with if I was going to buy between one or the other, I'm probably going to go with the Ibanez just because I feel like it does a little bit more out of the box, especially the hardware and some of the finish work and the attention to detail, given the simplicity of the guitar itself. Not surprising, but you know, you got $1,000 to spend. Ibanez over the Holcomb. However, I can see where someone who wants, you know, a little bit more of a flashy aesthetic and is really gearing up to get some decent sounding electronics and pickups in their hand, you know, without having to go through the process of swapping out a pickup, the Holcomb might be your deal. I'm giving the slight edge to the Ibanez.